this is probably the biggest moment for me. And I just wanted to say I really appreciate you guys being a part of it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Glad to be a part of it. Glad you asked.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Real estate has been it's been a calling for me. It's been a big deal. And I found that I'm able to help people in this specific way that impacts everything in their lives. Like, I've met people in so many different situations when it comes to like different life transitions that it's like I meet them right in the midst of a problem, and guess what? I have the information that helps them find a solution. And I've never been in a situation in my life where I found myself so instrumental. I'm sure you guys feel the same. So with that, I wanted to start by highlighting some of the bigger things, some of the bigger issues that people don't really talk about, you know? And today I just wanted to talk in regards to, for example, divorce, those type of situations. You end up in that situation, and honestly, I've been through a divorce myself. I don't know how, you know, we haven't talked in depth, but I don't know where you guys stand in regards to that. But you spend so much time in this pit of emotional despair, frustration, you know, kind of like a stuckness and this uncertainty. And you spend all of that time doing that before you end up saying, okay, I'm going to go and find help. I'm going to go ahead and figure this out. I spent more time doing Google searches than I did actually talking to professionals that could help me navigate through that divorce. And had I been able to do that earlier, had I been able to find the information sooner, it feels like it would have gotten me a lot further along, and I would have been able to really find something that worked. So I know that I had that circumstance, but I just wanted to, maybe let me just ask you, have you guys ever experienced that yourselves, or is that something that you've experienced with clients?
Well, yeah, I've been divorced. Yeah, and I've had some clients in various stages of divorce. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
you, Bob?
so sadly the same. I've been divorced, and look, and I encounter people in divorce all the time. I mean, it's one of the things that I talk about. I actually, frankly, tell real estate agents, seek it out, right? I call it transitions equal transactions. That,
Wow,
you know,
I like that.
when people are, I'll give you an example. So I got married, I owned a townhouse. My future wife owned a condo. Townhouse went up for sale, condo went up for sale. Together we bought a house. Okay. So it was one wedding, 3 real estate transactions.
Wow.
You know, divorce happens, and that happens in reverse. Maybe the marital home has to be disposed of, or, you know, one or both of them leave and buy something. So yeah, those are people that they're making these big decisions. To purchase a house, the where of it, the how much, the budget of it, in the midst of all the emotional pitfalls, you know, the emotional struggles that they're having to get through it. Right. So look, from just a human standpoint, I think it's important to support people through that. But it's also important, you got to bring your A game from an expertise standpoint.
Right.
And now, you didn't hear it, but Ed and I were having this conversation in the green room about, you know, it's difficult right now. You know, market circumstances always affect divorces. And the circumstance right now is, you know, you got married 10 years ago, everybody refinanced during the pandemic. So they're sitting on that 2.5%, 3% interest rate mortgage. Right. And now there's equity in the house that has to be divided up. So someone has to refinance the mortgage to buy the other one out. And then the other one has to go move on and try to find housing in, you know, today's inflated market.
That sounds like a fight waiting to happen. Just let me just stop you right there. That sounds like an argument waiting to happen.
And it is.
Because who gets to do what?
He's got a great insight in, you know, how to handle that I hadn't thought of before. Wow. I mean, yeah, you're right. It's divorce. There's arguments waiting to happen. I think in many cases at the drop of a pin, right? Depending on how that divorce is going. Yeah. But that still has to happen. And like Bob said, also in the green, you know, you have to, in the green room when we were talking before, it's important. Like Bob said, everyone's focused on the assets, the house, the 401k, whatever, and not the liabilities, which is the mortgage and credit card debt. And so professionals, that's part of it, is to come in and be able to present those to the front.
That's true. Very true.
But in terms of navigating today's market, when you're dealing with people with these low interest rates, Bob, go ahead and share what you were sharing with me earlier.
So the insight is this, and here's, I don't want to disparage family law attorneys, but a lot of them don't know this.
Okay.
And frankly, they love to learn. And when they find out about this, a light bulb goes on. So basically, let's say there's a $200,000 mortgage. House is worth $400,000. One party has to pay the other $100,000 to buy them out.
Right.
Or maybe they don't. Maybe they trade something else off. Like, I'll take 401k so you don't have to, buy me out.
Right.
But the person departing, let's call them the departing spouse, their name's on that mortgage. And that mortgage is weighing them down. That $2,000, $3,000 a month payment is counting against them as they go to purchase their next house.
Right.
Okay? So is there a place where the remaining spouse does not have to refinance the 2.5% interest rate mortgage, but at the same time the departing spouse doesn't have that payment weighing them down from the debt to income ratio standpoint? What percentage?
Possible?
It is.
Okay.
And the way that it's done is you have to make sure that the property settlement agreement that goes along with the divorce decree is crafted properly. There states clearly that the remaining spouse is going to take full responsibility for the mortgage and the maintenance of the house.
Yeah.
And then there's this, and this is the thing that surprisingly people trip on. The person that remains needs to make 12 consecutive monthly payments out of a bank account in their name alone. And I can't emphasize that enough, because strangely, a lot of divorcing couples keep a bank account that has both names on it.
Right, right.
They've got to separate that bank account. The remaining spouse needs to make the payments from a bank account in their name alone. Now, it's not a perfect solution, because they have to make 12 one-time payments out of that account. And once they do, now the spouse that has departed, we no longer have to count. We just demonstrate that those payments are being made by the other party as per the divorce decree, property settlement agreement, and now we don't have to count that payment any longer.
Understood.
They have to wait. They have to be willing to wait. But I will tell you, it's a great compromise for both parties, especially if they're arguing over things. You say, hey, I'll be willing to wait these 12 months and allow you to stay in the house with that 2.5% interest rate mortgage. And now the willingness to compromise is greater among the parties.
Right.
So, and to me, that's, when you pull this off and we get everyone to see the light and the attorneys to work together, it just delights me. I mean, those are, I know it's a divorce and it's terrible, but, those are some of my happiest transactions. Yeah, when you can find, and there are solutions, and that's the important thing. I mean, that's, I think, why we all love this business, is we have these solutions.
Right.
And I'm sure there's others related strictly to real estate, but we can really help people move on with their lives, and that's, I think, the important part of a divorce. It's you got to rip that Band-Aid off, and move on. And to the extent that I can help do that, that's, an agent said to me one time, I'd rather have a thank you than a $100 bill. And that's kind of how I feel about these situations. When I can really solve it for someone, that's so much more gratifying than the commission that I earn from it.
No, that definitely makes sense. And I know that everybody feels a different way when they're in the circumstance of, filing for a divorce or separating or, breakups or anything like that. But the dominant theme is you have one person who is not the person who initiated the break. And that person is, I can only say that I felt the same way when I was going through the same thing. So I'm going to, just for the sake of relatability, feeling like, hey, I failed at this. I was attempting this thing. I had this plan and it didn't work out. So that person is kind of feeling in a lower place. Like they're feeling down, And for example, I even had I had a client that I met that was going through the same type of thing, and we kind of bonded through that. It was more so, this person was in a place where it's like, you know what, nothing's working out, so I don't care about anything. We'll just let it, and of course they care. Of course I cared, but not in that moment. I'm more so worried about the homeostasis of my emotional, state, and the fact that everything I thought was happening is just dissolving right in front of me. So I'm not really focused on those type of solutions. I can't even find those solutions.
But that's where the professionals that you surround yourself
Exactly.
help.
Exactly.
And look, we recognize, I've having been through a divorce and working with people that are going through it, I recognize that. Mm-hmm. And look, I will tell you, those are some of, at least the people that express their gratitude the most. Yeah. Are the ones, you found them, you were introduced to them. Yeah. At a low point in their life. Yeah. Yeah. And again, you've helped them move past it. We've gotten past the divorce. We broke the impasse. You're moving on. Right. Those are satisfying things. Absolutely. For us, and hopefully satisfying for our clients as well.
I would like to ask you, Ed, when it comes to when you encounter a circumstance and you are showing up as a brand new realtor, you're just meeting these clients. How do you really connect in regards to this circumstance, just as yourself?
Well, I try to come in treating people as if I might have already met them or know them. Understood. As fast as I can, I try to get into that zone, even though maybe not in the back of my head. I'm not sure, but asking questions. Right. I think you need to get people talking. And then sooner or later, you're going to find something that you can zone in on and relate to. Yeah, for sure. When it comes to divorce, I mean, they could be anywhere, Yeah. Everyone's experience is a little bit different. Some couples, they have it all laid out, It's not a problem. It's mutual. They both want it, and they work it out. Yeah. And you're just kind of helping through the process. Mm-hmm. Yeah. On the other hand, sometimes, one of the persons they don't want it. Like you were saying, maybe they're in a position where they haven't quite come to terms with the fact that this thing's dissolved, that maybe they're hanging on to whatever, right. Guilt or fear or whatever it is. Right. Sometimes those people just have to go through a process,
Well, the only thing I can think, and this is the reason why I asked that question, is because I can think of, if you've ever watched a fight or if you've ever seen something where there's tension, right? Your guards are up. And it's not necessarily something that you can just let down, maybe unless a kid walks in the room, but it's not, or a puppy or something. It's not something that you just let down and then put back up. So I noticed that, in any type of situation, how do you kind of break that ice and let them know, like, hey, I'm here to make sure that, we make the best of whatever this circumstance is. I'm here to guide you through, and I'm here with you, And I feel like, asking them questions, kind of being a human being and being more personable, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I don't think you want to get too deep into the well, with them. You want to show your empathy and compassion as a human being, right. But they also need to see you as someone that they can trust, that's reliable, that's not going to pick sides. You start playing with those emotional strings, you might end up inadvertently picking sides or coming off, and so you don't. I mean, you got to watch. You got to watch that because your goal is to treat them fairly, honestly, and you want to get them to where they're going to get that thank you and help them to that next step, And sometimes as an agent, maybe you can't work for both of the spouses to help them with the one home. Maybe you have to partner with another agent to give that separation that they need. You kind of have to determine what's going to be best for them.
And you walking in with the awareness of that allows you to look at all of those options, is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, you're looking to solve a problem, so keep an open mind, Gotcha. You don't know the answer till they start giving you information. Right. They're going to tell you what the answer is, You just need an open mind. Do you agree?
Yeah, Kash, I think you had the perfect solution. Bring a puppy.
Right? Just bring the puppy.
Everyone's guard down. Yeah. Everyone's relaxed. Yeah. The puppy walks in there.
Who can be mad with a puppy?
Especially a cute one.
Yeah. It doesn't work that way.
You can't be angry. You can't be angry.
Right? I mean,
So keep that as an option when you make the appointment, right?
right.
Mind if I bring my puppy?
yeah, I'm gonna bring my puppy. Don't worry.
Isn't it like PetSmart? You can go adopt one for a day.
Sure.
Yeah, give it to whoever needs it the most. You know.
I love that.
Yeah, I think
Puppies
that
for everyone.
I'm gonna add that. But but the reason why I'm asking these questions is because navigating through those type of situations, when you are a friend, when you are part of the circumstance, when you're experiencing it, it's very and drastically different than when you're a professional trying to help someone navigate through. But what you were describing, all I could think to myself was accompaniment. And accompaniment is like, I'm here with you, and yes, I'm ready to move forward in whatever direction. You have to feel whatever you're feeling, you have to experience whatever you're experiencing. I'm not going to leave you, I'm here with you, but I'm not participating in what you're experiencing. I'm just here with you.
Yeah, I think that's
Pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that makes me feel like this. When a person is experiencing a life change in whatever capacity, the faster they can connect with a professional that knows the space, that they feel like they can trust, that understands what they're going through or understands them, the easier it is for them to navigate all the way through the circumstance and end up where they really want to be, or where the best possible outcome actually is.
Yeah, I mean, I think, a lot is individual based there.
Okay.
I don't know if fastest is the right way to describe that. I think people make decisions on their own time.
Yeah.
You can be there and be supportive and kind of help them through it, but you're not going to speed that up, or you might speed up you going the other way. You might say goodbye.
Okay.
But I think you have to be careful as like how far you don't want to push people to. Sometimes they need a little bit of a push, that's appreciated, but too much could go. You have to be, I think, try to be aware of where they're at.
Okay. So what would your approach be, or your best advice be in any given circumstance like that?
I think just trying to be open and honest with people, and look for opportunities where you can show your reliability.
Okay.
For them, and you need to keep an open mind and open ears. I mean, you have to listen and ask questions. I think is probably going to give you the most.
Yeah, because you don't know where they want to go, what's going to work.
Yeah,
best for them.
and when you're making those changes, whether it's divorce, maybe they're getting married and it's the opposite feeling. It's just super elatement, or maybe a family member died and they have to relocate for a job.
It could be any one of those.
It could be so many different things, those life changes, and you don't know how people are going to react necessarily till they're getting into that situation, having to make those decisions.
Yeah.
So I think, an open mind and questions. As one said, stay in the gray. Always kind of be looking for, more questions.
Oh, okay.
And it's funny because I always try to channel this scene. Remember the scene from the show Modern Family?
Okay.
You can find this on Google it. So Phil Dunphy has taken a day off. He's a realtor, by the way.
Okay.
And he ends up like in a nail salon or something. He's getting a pedicure, a manicure, and he's talking to the ladies about, how he and his wife don't communicate sometimes. And Claire calls him, and she's having this terrible day. And he does what a man does. He's like, well, honey, don't go that way. Oh, honey, do it this way.
Okay.
And they're like, no, you're all wrong. She just wants you to empathize. She just wants you to listen.
Right.
Don't try to solve it.
Right.
And I think so many times, look, you're there to propose solutions, to find solutions. But try to shortcut it like the fastest way, because and again, we're all men here, right? Hey, guys tend to do this. What's efficient?
Right.
I need an optimal solution here.
I must have the tool.
I know. I got a tool for that. And that's not necessarily what people want, men and women, right? Sometimes some of the best connections I've made with customers are, I'm just going to let them vent. They're whatever the situation might be. Maybe it's a divorce. Maybe it's siblings. The house is for sale, and one sibling wants to buy the other beneficiaries out. And they're not always so reasonable. Okay, your family's your family until money's involved. Claws come out. And sometimes it's just listening. And guess what? The solution, what you thought the solution was in the first 5 minutes of the conversation, after 10 or 15 or 20 minutes of letting them vent, you're like, you know what? There's a different solution here. And look, it's listening, but it's also not trying to shortcut it. And you know how it is. It's like, okay, they're venting about their brothers and sisters, and these are all grown adults, and my phone's ringing. There's other calls coming in, and it's a discipline. You have to discipline yourself to just let them go, because they're likely going to say something in there that's really it's going to help you to help them so much more than if you had run with the first tool you pulled out of the toolbox. So it is, channel Phil Dunphy. Google it. Everyone Google it. Phil Dunphy in the nail salon or something. It's a great scene, but it's also, it's a teaching moment for me. I think of it daily, probably, that I got to slow down. I'm being Phil Dunphy. And I got to follow the advice.
And it's something that I'm sure you have to practice, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I will say this. It took me a very long time to understand that people want to be their own hero. And they want to discover the solution. They just want you to hang out with them while they do it. They want you to play the sidekick.
But you know what they often do? You see it in the first couple of minutes, but you let them talk, and you will all come to that conclusion together with a little guidance. But
Of course.
And that's with the questions.
Isn't that what therapy is? It's basically the same thing.
It really is.
Pretty much.
Right.
No, that definitely makes sense. I don't want to take this completely off topic, but I will say this. One of the biggest things for me was, as I was getting divorced, right? I was in a position where I had everything laid out. I had a whole plan. And it was like going into the next chapter of the takeoff for life, right? And I'm getting everything together. I was starting a business. I was trying to make sure that everything went in the direction that I wanted to go, because I was going to move us from here to here. And that's where we started to drift apart. And I could see it unfolding along the way, but I wasn't going to stop the dream. I wasn't going to stop this entrepreneurship and the spirit that I had that said, I want to create this for my family, myself, and everything else. So going into that space of having a business, I started to realize that if all of this dissolves, that I don't have anything to support my business. So you mentioned to me, when we were off camera, that, something that you do work for, with is mortgages and things like that, and working with people that are entrepreneurs. I would like to find out just more information in regards to how that works and how I can utilize that to benefit myself, And yeah, we're talking about me right now. The reason why is because I really want to understand. When I say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and I'm an entrepreneur, I want to get a mortgage, the first thing they say is your 2 years tax returns. They want a lot of information that, hey, maybe I just started. Maybe I've only been in business for a year and a half. Is it possible? Is it something, are there creative options, or is there something that I can do to make sure I'm better equipped for it?
So there are a lot of creative options. I could, how long you have? I could go on forever.
I got a little bit of time.
You got a little time?
A little time.
And again, it's about diagnosing a situation. Someone who's self-employed. I'll give you an example of someone that came to me and said, hey, here's the trouble I'm having.
Right.
I've not been self-employed for 2 years. Okay. And I have to watch what I say here, because I bent some rules perhaps in doing this.
Okay.
So it was an attorney.
Okay.
Someone that was doing quite well. And what they had done is they left the firm that they were with. One of the partners retired, so everybody went their separate way. He started his own firm, kept a lot of his clients.
Got it.
Anyway, long story short, he had only been reporting income from self-employed activities for 1 year.
Got it.
I'm like, okay, send me the tax return. Let me take a look. I get it. I see it's a single member LLC. So I asked him, when did you form the LLC? Oh, I formed that in 2017. I'm like, okay.
Right.
So technically this business has been around.
Right.
And it did show little dribs and drabs. Most attorneys will do little bits and pieces of things on the side.
Right.
You know, so he's like, yeah, I had, you know, a little bit this year, a little bit that year. I'm like, I think I can make this fly. Now, not every mortgage program does this. And let me pause for a second to say this. You've got these exotic programs, programs where you document income in ways other than a W-2 form, a tax return, et cetera.
Okay.
One's called DSCR. I'll come back to that in a moment.
I love the research I've been doing on that, by the way.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. So when you go to one of these exotic ways of calculating income, all right, the technical term for it is non-QM, non-quality mortgage. All that means is you're not following the rules of Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA, one of the agencies, rules-making bodies within the mortgage business.
Right.
If you're not going to follow their rules, you're going to pay a price for it. And the price you pay is going to be a larger down payment and a higher interest rate, which maybe you don't have the larger down payment. Maybe that higher interest rate makes you not be able to comfortably afford the house you really need. So if you can get it done under the agency rules, you can save people a lot of money.
Gotcha.
You know, 5% down, 3% down. You know, interest rates, today's interest rate environment in the 6s instead of in the 7s and 8s with the exotic programs.
Right.
So that said, what we did with this gentleman is, I got his tax returns. He had a very good credit score, had a decent down payment. Just he was going to do 20%. He had a little more if you needed to.
Yeah.
So when I put it all together, I used his self-employment period as the date that the LLC was formed.
Okay.
So it was 2017 to 2025, so was it 8 years ago. So I had the business been around for 8 years. I feed the data through Fannie Mae's computer or Freddie Mac's computer. 2 years is the standard, but the computer will grant exceptions based on the strength of the application.
Okay.
And lo and behold, we get the exception. I can do this based on 1 year of tax returns.
Gotcha.
So all I need now is just for your not your attorney, your accountant, to just confirm what I'm saying here, that this company formed in 2017, which is the truth.
Yeah.
Has it really been active the whole time? Not so much.
It was building.
Right.
Right.
But we got them done basically on 1 year of tax returns.
Right.
Right. Now, if you didn't form an LLC, you know, 8 years ago, if you're, you know, Schedule C, sole proprietorship, you know, there's no formal formation of a business, then you do need 2 years of filed tax returns as a self-employed person. The other thing that I always like to emphasize, and I do a lot of work with accountants, actually this time of year, people that are on extension to the August 15th extension deadline, I'll work with their accountants. And the principle is this. You've talked to someone, you've been denied insufficient income, debt to income ratio is too high. You know, you can only afford a $300,000 house and it's a $450,000 house that you really want. Right. So the concept is that taxable income, as it goes on your tax return, is calculated differently than mortgage qualifying income. Okay. Now granted, we start with your tax return and we review it and we make adjustments. Most common one would be depreciation. Depreciation is considered a non-cash expense, and Fannie Mae says we don't count that, so we add it back. But there's 100 other different ways where the accounting is different. So let me see what you did in 2023. Your 24 is on extension. We'll take a look at it. Right. Maybe with some adjustments. Right. I did this for someone. Now this was a fix that did take a year. It was someone going through a divorce, as a matter of fact. He showed me a self-employed tax return. I took a look at it, and I see a car loan on the credit report. I'm like, do you use that car for business? Like, yeah, mostly. Yeah. I'm like, where? And I could see the expense. He was taking a mileage expense on the tax return. Like, who's making the payment on that car? He said, well, I am. Out of your personal account or out of the business account? No, I just do it out of my personal account. Like, stop doing that. Make that payment out of the business account. Because if you make it out of your personal, I got to count it against you on the personal side, and then I count that expense on the business side as well. Wow. Whereas if you make those 12 consecutive on time, you noticing a theme here?
Yeah.
12 consecutive on time payments.
12 consecutive on-time payments.
12 consecutive on time payments
a bumper
out
sticker.
of the business account. Now I can deduct. That doesn't go into your debt to income ratio.
Right.
And oh, by the way, you're calculating these miles that you're driving. The IRS says, and it's 71 cents a mile this year, like 35 of those cents are depreciation, non-cash expenses. So I take a little more than half of that auto expense and I actually add it back.
Yeah.
Look, and it's a lot of little things. Those have to be two pretty big things for this individual. Right. But we can take a 350, 400 and get them up to a 500, 550 approval by working with the borrower, by working with the accountant. And personally, I love it. I mean, I actually feel smart when I'm done with that. Yeah. So those are examples. We do a lot with self-employed people. The main thing is to start early. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. And I always say October is what I call my accountant season. That's when I start to talk to, I want to talk to your self-employed borrowers, anyone that's thinking about buying a house, because that's when we can start to plan. We can take a look at what was done in years past and plan for how we're going to file for the coming tax year.
That makes sense.
And I have done one of my favorite ones. I took a guy that was showing like $3,000 negative, a loss. And here's basically what we did. We built his income up to about $63,000. And between standard deduction, and he had young children, and the child tax credit, he was still paying a zero tax bill. But showing, I think it was about $52,000 taxable, which got paid for by the child tax credits. Right. And then with add backs for depreciation and things like that, we were showing about $62,000 as mortgage qualifying. And this was in Philadelphia. We got him into about a $350,000 house in Philadelphia. Right. I know that's a long answer to a short question, but each situation's different. I always say it's a lot of little things that when you pile them all on top of each other, it kind of looks like magic. Yeah. We took you from here and got you to here, and we got you in the house. But it does take teamwork. Me, your accountant, it can take some time. Okay, I can't do anything. Maybe we can amend that last year tax return, but that might not be wise. Let's think about planning for next year's tax return. Let's see if we can get that 1 year exception. Yeah. If we do have to bump you up and you pay a tax bill, let's do it for 1 year and not 2. Understood. So there's, again, it's a lot of fun. I told you I'm a nerd at heart. I've got credentials to prove it.
It's a good thing.
And I love doing that stuff.
That's why it's important to get your pre-approval.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what?
Because you never know where you are until you go through that.
And here's my thing. And listeners out there, you can't start early enough. You really can't. No. The heartbreaking thing to me is someone who, I've been thinking about buying a house for a couple of years now, and this perfect house just came on the market. And that's the day that they call me. And look, it could be a credit. There's something with your credit that I could have fixed.
Yeah, and we get the same thing, don't we?
Yeah. There's a house I want to see right now. Right now. Do you have a pre-approval? No. Well,
Do you have a house to sell? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So there was something that you said that really stuck out for me, right? And it's because everything that you were discussing just now, everything just brought to light, just in my mind, how important putting your funds in the right places at the beginning, how important that really is. How important it is to keep your business separate from this, and to have a plan going forward. Like you said, 12 months of on time. You need that 12-month record. So if you don't think about this thing as you're going into it, then you're missing out on the opportunities that it would afford you, and you're kind of having to go back and start from that point. And like you said, they're already ready to look at the house. They're already ready to get the mortgage, and
they think they're ready.
Right. For example,
They weren't
me,
ready.
I had to learn financial literacy the same way, just through life. It was the equivalent of like, I don't know, learning how to read from newspapers and street signs. It was like I had to gain it through experience, through what I came across in life. And oh, this doesn't work. I can't do this. Okay, I have to put this down and I can refine this. And my life experience is what built that for me. I didn't have anything that actually taught me how to go about this. I'm still learning things. Like I'm going to use a couple of those things. Thank you, by the way. But with that being said, I feel like millions of people are in the same boat. You know, they may have things together in one capacity. They may have enough of their life together to be able to afford the mortgage, to afford all the things. They're living just fine, but underneath, finances are a mess because they don't know what to put where. They don't know where to, what's going to be most.
Yeah, I think you have a point. I don't know, what the status is, financial education growing up, but mine was limited in terms of public schools, that kind of stuff. I mean, it would probably be a good idea if we had more of that, but I was the same way. You learn through
life.
You get some basics, Hopefully your folks set you up, at least to know a little bit.
You learn how to balance the checkbook.
Yeah,
that's what you learn how to do.
And then, but there's a lot. I mean, it's a complicated economy,
Right.
That's why it's important to, who do you know?
Yeah.
You keep people around you.
Right.
But that's choosing the right team for your transaction. The real estate agent, the mortgage person, the title company, your insurance agent.
Sure.
I mean, I can tell you on rare occasions, the wrong insurance agent can just throw a monkey wrench in a deal. You just gotta let's just move you over to someone. I had someone. It was they were waiting for a CO, and they didn't want to close without the CO. We can close. It's not necessarily recommended, but they were working with an insurance agent. It's like, well, I need to know the closing date. And then once I know, I submit it here, and 3 business days later, we'll have your declarations page. Right. I'm like, that's not how this works. We're going to find out on Tuesday that we're closing on Wednesday. Right. Well, you'll have to submit it on Tuesday, and I might be ready by Friday. And I'm like, you're fired. And I talked to the client, and I explained to him, we need flexibility. That's the reality. Right. And we put them in touch with the right, a real flexible insurance agent. And it's like, all right, we're ready. Tell me at 9 a.m., I'll close at 1 p.m. And that's, so the right team matters a lot. But there's something else that you said, just the notion of financial literacy. And, even the most financially literate people in the world, the trouble is, I always say there's like different languages, right? I said, mortgage qualifying income is calculated differently than taxable income. For it's not 2 different languages, right? There's
car loans versus home loans.
Exactly. There's the language, and I have these conversations with accountants all the time. They're like, "That's not how it works." I'm like, "No, that is how it works in tax accounting. It's not how it works in calculating mortgage qualifying income." Right. So there are these different languages, and where it trips people up and it gets frustrating, and I totally understand this frustration, is that people don't live their lives thinking about how it's going to fit into a mortgage application.
No, not at all.
They'll take a vacation at an opportune time, or they'll throw a lump sum of cash into a bank.
I feel like we're all just living to take the vacation. That's what
we should be, by the way. We should be. If you're not living to take a vacation, you're living wrong. Just saying.
Yeah.
But and that's the thing. I'm a little pressed for an example right now. Well, the credit is probably one of the biggest ones. Something that people will do, and this is really, please talk to me first. What they'll do is they'll start to plan their credit themselves. Right? I always say it's like doing dentistry on yourself. Yeah. Okay? Oh my gosh, I have this collection account. So they'll call. It's $500, and the collection agency says, give us $250 and it's settled. And you're like, sold?
Right.
Well, that actually gets marked on your credit report as a settlement accepted. Lender, creditor took a loss. It lowers your credit score. You don't think that, you don't know that as a layperson, but you don't know how to live your life according to the mortgage underwriting rules.
That's what happened in my 20s.
I've
they were offering me all type of deals.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, done. That works.
Yeah, I got in the 20s. I got myself in the 20s.
I think we all we're all in our 20s.
You're in
once.
your 20s, now you know.
But that's just, and then going back, you really want to, like when you're prospecting, right? And you get people that are saying, well, maybe in a few months, not right now.
Right.
And I think one of the arts is trying to get them to understand that, you know what, that this is a great time. We need to sit down and talk so that in 3 months we're not, well, you need another 3 months.
Right.
Or you need another year because you have to pay a monthly payment for 12 months.
So
You know?
here's the wildest thing. Just being in this industry has helped me realize how important relationships are. And it's not just my relationship to clients or my professional relationships or anything like that. It's just, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would get to know a mortgage broker, I would get to know a realtor, I would get to know an attorney. I would really get to know these people in my life.
And a car mechanic.
And I would call them, hey, happy birthday, how's it going? And those are the people that I would call if I have a problem, if I have a question, if I'm thinking about making a decision that could potentially impact my future, because those are the people, and having those people within your network it makes life a little bit easier. It makes the next hurdles that you're going to encounter just a little bit easier. Yeah. And sometimes that little bit turns out to have a huge impact. Huge impact.
You can never have too many friends.
You know, if somebody called you right now or gave you a call right now and said, hey, I have a question. Aren't you excited to hear from them?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
hey, actually, this is my passion. I'd love to tell you. You know, I'd love to give you the information.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. If I could go back and kind of do it a different way, I'd notice that's what I would do differently. And I say that just to kind of come to the point of, if you're already in this situation, yes, by all means, reach out to a professional right away. But before as you see it approaching, that's the time to start talking about it. Don't hide it. Don't be ashamed. Don't cover it up. Don't try to handle it yourself. And, in this hyper-independent state, talk about it now, because those type of options that you guys have rolled out, like, I didn't even know some of those.
Yeah, I would say that you to me you said some things there, especially when it comes to credit. Yeah. And like any mortgage application, I don't say this to customers, but you kind of financially undress for your mortgage loan officer. How many people tell their friends how much they make? Right. I'm going to see it. Right. How many people, the credit seems to be a big topic. I actually caught my daughter. I teach a credit class, and she has clerked during that class a few times. Oh, okay. So she learned some stuff. So now she's got this killer Credit Karma score. Nice. Shows it off to her friends. But when people have an issue, they don't want to talk about it. It's embarrassing. Divorce is a perfect example. I mean, spite credit is a thing. Yeah. It's hard to get through a divorce and maintain your credit score and your good credit report. Mm-hmm. And people don't want to talk about it. But if I'm here to tell you, I've seen it all. We've seen it. Yeah. I'm here to help. Yeah. And trust me, whatever it is, I've seen worse. Exactly. And even if you were the worst one, I wouldn't tell you. But I've got the resources. If I can't help myself, I've got consumer credit counselors. I've got reliable, honest credit repair people. And trust me, it's easy to fall victim to a dishonest credit repair person. And I, make that phone call. Yeah. And I think we probably all agree that you as a customer, talking to your realtor, who refers you to a mortgage person, who refers you to an attorney, who refers you to a title company, your protection as a consumer comes from that relationship.
Yeah, you call them the Avengers.
Exactly.
Like, hey.
Yeah. Don't resist.
Right.
Because too many people think, the mortgage person's paying the real estate agent. The real estate agent's paying the mortgage person. So I'm going to get screwed. But that's not the case. Right? It's you know where I live. If I treat you badly, cash is coming for me. Right? And or cash is going to ignore me for the rest of my life and never send me a deal.
Right. Yeah. there's that, and I'm not making a career off of one deal either.
Exactly.
It's a long game to do that. And I actually just had that experience in a transaction where one of the parties in the transaction took a lot on themselves and tried to get ahead of things and cut some corners. And for that reason, found out that part of them was suspicious of, backroom deals and whatnot. And the person actually put themselves in a worse position than they otherwise would have,
And that's the hard part.
Yeah.
The biggest question that I can say that I have is, how do you divorce, separate with dignity? How do you walk away and say, I'm going to maintain my credit, maintain this circumstance, do it amicably, but also walk away and not feel like I'm already taking an emotional loss. That means that this life that I've agreed to share with someone, I'm no longer doing that. That is now changed, but I don't want my entire life to fall apart to the degree that I have to pick up the rubble and try to build a house with it. I want to be able to walk into the next step and say, this is what I'm doing, this is the plan, and move forward. Because I think that if we as just people, we're able to walk away from things without having to rebuild every single time, we would just be a lot further along. A lot further along.
I mean, I don't know I think you're going to have to go through that.
Yeah.
And it's not just you or the person there's two people there.
Yeah.
So both people are going through, and they both have a different perspective on why they're there and how that's impacted them at different times, because they're individuals. So how you move, I don't think there is necessarily a way to move from something like that to something new without going through a lot emotionally.
Right.
I think you have to go through that in order to grow.
Absolutely. And you're definitely going to go through the emotional part. But if I could be in a circumstance where if I was going through some type of a separation or a life change where I'm going from this home to now I'm going to this home, that person's going to that home, I want the best for them because I want the best for me. So, what advice as a realtor, as a lender, what advice would you say would be the best that you could give, not knowing the details, to say, hey, set yourself up in this way. Set yourself up by considering this. And hey, it might not apply to everybody, but I believe it'll apply to somebody. And if you can't say it to them, give me some advice. I'll take it.
One thing, and I think I heard this from a therapist, is if you have both people sitting at the table with you, why not ask how they met? Because that, with any luck, are going to trigger some happy memories.
Yeah.
And that if you can keep people focused on back at that day, all they wanted was the best for each other.
Yeah.
Maybe you can help.
That's
I mean,
key.
all you can do is just try to,
So this is probably TMI, but whatever. When I got divorced, we were sitting there, we're signing these divorce papers, and we're filling it out at those little law centers that you go to, because we were doing it ourselves, and we're having a good time because we didn't have animosity. We were having a good time, and I was enjoying the fact that I was there with her right at that moment. She was enjoying the same thing, and a lady walks up and oh, you guys getting married? And she's thinking we're filling out. I was like, no, we're actually getting divorced, and it was kind of funny.
Second happiest day of our lives.
Right? It was kind of funny, but I do want the best for them, and I think deep down, people, they do want the best for the other person. They still want that. They just,
I
it's
think
layered.
in most cases, but I think
layered.
you have to be ready, because I think there's some that just it's really.
But keeping the start in mind is a good way to go. I think it's a really good way to go, because there's something about them they liked. Something.
Yeah.
Had to be at least one thing, otherwise it wouldn't have gotten
had
that
some
far.
kind of vow.
Yeah, exactly. And wow, that's profound. I think that no, because it sets the tone for it's like the undertone for everything. It's like
No, it definitely sets a good tone.
set that aside and
By the way, way better than the answer I was going to give.
right? Like keep that in mind. It turns it into a situation to where I'm open-minded now. I can say, oh, okay. at least I can receive what it is that my realtor is telling me, and not think about how mad I am at this person, or what I want, or trying to make sure I receive what I'm entitled to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to refer a marriage counselor or therapist. Because,
Yeah. It helps.
And that's their that's their lane. You know?
yeah.
You have to know when to step out of the real estate
we
or the
don't-
mortgage.
We stay in our zones. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way to make sure that I don't want to overstep, and sometimes when you overstep, you end up in a position where you say, hey, this is what you should do, or this is, or you're guiding them in this direction, but overstepping can lead you in a position to where you're responsible for something that you never had any business in.
Yeah.
And I don't like that feeling,
No, you don't want to be there.
It's like, if I'm carving the turkey, let me just do that part, and whoever's making the sides, let's let them make the sides, or whatever the role is. Like, let's stick with that, because they're specialized in it.
Yeah.
They've got way more experience.
But by the same token, sometimes you need collaboration. My favorite thing in the world is a conference call.
Oh man.
A conference call, a Zoom call. I'm looking at this, and I will always tell people, a divorce situation, an accounting situation, if we're going for that. But like divorce, it's this is what I see.
Right.
Now, I'm not the attorney.
Yeah.
I don't, and there's so many things being negotiated
Right.
in a divorce, and I'm focused on the mortgage. It's like, let's get a conference call going. Let's get a Zoom call going. Right. Bring in a real estate agent as needed. Myself, the matrimonial attorney, the borrower, the home buyer, and let's talk about this. And teams make good decisions.
Yeah.
Teams. I was listening to a podcast the other day. It was, what is the guy's name? Eric. I forget his last name. He had been the CEO of Google, not one of the founders, but he served as CEO, and he was going on about how statistics show over time, teams make better decisions than individuals. So bring the team together.
Yeah.
Bring the team together. And
Call the Avengers, like I said.
call in the Avengers. There you go.
Look,
Right.
I like the idea of being able to say, hey, I'm going to call this person, or a conference call actually sounds even better, because it's like, now I can get everybody's input. We can talk it through. That one conversation can make all the difference.
And it's so much quicker than doing it. Okay, tell your accountant, tell your attorney this. My attorney said this. Ooh, now tell your attorney that. Well, my attorney said, it's like conference call. Let's do it. Boom, boom, boom.
And then it's all done. Yeah.
And then you have solutions.
I love that.
Real time.
I love that. Remember why you started. Jump on a conference call with everybody. I mean, what better advice can you get with that? If I think about the solutions that you'd be leading to, with just those two things, my emotional state would be a little bit more sound, a little bit more palatable to be able to handle the circumstance. And then also, I would be getting the best possible advice. I mean, that's a makeup for a solution right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really want to say thank you very much for this conversation. It has not only been personally enlightening, but I believe that anyone who has the pleasure of listening to this conversation is going to pick up at least one or two things, that's going to help them advance in whatever they're trying to work through.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Kash, thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, right? Thank you. Thank you.